and it's live from Florence, Italy. What a place. I must say, I am probably a prejudicial reporter of things in Florence because my grandma came from here. My daddy's mother came from Florence. Oh my goodness, a long time ago, 1882, 84. Somewhere in this city she was born. I wish I knew where. I would like to go see the house. Maybe I can figure out a way to find that out to the Catholic Church or something, because they do have good baptismal records here. This city, is an overwhelming city in terms of course, it has. It probably a city that matches the top city for art in the world. But the thing about the art here is a lot of it is out on the street, either the actual artwork or copies of it. So when parts of it, like the Piazza Signora or the Piazza Vecchio, or you see statues. You see copies sometimes, like Michelangelo's David, which is in a gallery, or you see actual sculptures that are done by Michelangelo and the other Florentine, Tuscan, and Italian sculptors and artists. It's an extraordinarily beautiful, beautiful city. And so, yes, it sort of contains a lot of the soul of Western civilization, because art is really, well, I should say, when I say the soul of Western civilization, it contains the art and it contains the religious background. There's a church on every block. They're all big. And then there's one that's gigantic, the Duomo. And as as you walk along it, there's one after another unbelievable works of art. The Museum of the Duomo has most people know Michelangelo's Pietà. It was one of his early works. It's in the Vatican. It's occasionally been taken around the world. I saw it for the first time in New York. To me, it's the most beautiful, perfect sculpture ever done. Others might find something else, but they might still end up with Michelangelo. It could be Moses, right? It could be David. But it's only one. So today we saw one that was done when he was dying, a Pietà, and in it it's him. He's actually in it. So he does a sculpture of the Virgin Mary and Jesus coming taken down from the cross in his mother's arms. But then over them is supposedly the figure Nicodemus, who was, I think Nicodemus was a Pharisee, but had converted to Christianity and wanted to give Jesus a decent burial. So the three of them are together, and Nicodemus is standing above looking over. And Michelangelo was at the end of his life, and I think knew it. And it is believed to be a self-portrait. And then, possibly because he was dying and not thinking, whatever, he tried to destroy it, and then he died. But he didn't really destroy it, and they put it back together again. And it's really interesting. And I have a very, very good picture that I took of it and an analysis of it that I did that we'll show you tomorrow night, where you can see the parts that he finished and the parts that he didn't finish. And if you compare it to the Pietà that he did 30 years or 40 years earlier as a young man, you can see a real difference in it. You can see the complex views of an older man who's been through hell, really, right? Like doing that Sistine Chapel for 20 years on his back and almost took his eyesight away. But in his self-portrait, of Nicodemus. If you don't feel the love that this man had and the sorrow that he had for Jesus and Mary, there's something wrong with him. We'll show it to you. So the United States put off its what appears to have been an extremely well orchestrated attack, major attack on Iran that was going to take out, at a minimum, uh, their uh, their energy sources and their bridges. It was going to last for about 2 to 3 weeks, and at the last minute, the president decided that he wanted to give negotiations a little more of a chance, rather than to literally, set the government and the country of Iran back 20 to 30 years. So on Friday, he put it off. Hard to say how long, but he could rekindle it at a moment's notice. But he had moved massive additional forces there. One of the most interesting groups that he moved there were the special forces. So if special forces are moved into a combat area, you really can do a little sort of speculating about why are they there. They're not going to be involved in the regular. Let's say we're going to take out the naval facilities, or we're going to take out the delivery facilities for the rockets, or the rockets themselves. You're not going to use special forces for that. So what are they there for? Well, they're generally there for background. If there's going to be engagement, they're the best to go in and to protect our pilots and our soldiers and our sailors. And I mean, nobody can rescue better than they can. But number two, the number that they sent there appears as if they have a mission. And here's what the leaks say the mission is. The mission is to make sure that the plutonium is taken out of the ground, because they have they have SEAL Team 6 there, the Silver Squadron, the 2nd Ranger Battalion, and the Army's 21st Ordnance Company. And the 21st Ordnance is particularly adept at digging deep into the ground and creating tunnels. And so they are going to be the ones to make sure that when we finish this, Iran doesn't have this much uranium. And that's what they're there for. Also, they're there because if you get in their way, you won't be around very long. The IAEA reported just in 2025 that Iran has about 20,000 pounds of enriched uranium. We're going to want to see every one of that down to the last pound, and we're going to take it. And I think this is a non-negotiable position. There are several non-negotiable positions, right? Iran cannot be nuclear, and we're not going to leave any loophole so that they can become nuclear after what we've gone through. So all the plutonium has to be removed, as well as the delivery systems and everything else. Number two, they can't be supporting terrorist groups that go ahead and kill us and our allies. And number three, they can't be spending their time vowing to destroy us, to destroy Israel, and to destroy Western civilization. Because if they keep vowing it, someday they may do it. Well, don't you come to the conclusion that I come to? You want to achieve all three of those objectives. It'll be really hard to do that through negotiation. If you're saying that they should leave, they should stop this death to America, death to Israel stuff, you're telling them to reject their religion, aren't you? or at least the way in which they fervently believe their religion. It may be that a lot of other people see the religion differently, and they do. But these people are convinced they're right, and their religion tells them, get rid of the infidels, and this world should all be under Allah, the former pagan sun god. That's why the guy on the Upper West Side, when he knifed the Jewish guy with the Pesach, yelled Allah Akbar. Got one guy on the Upper West Side, you've got another one in the Middle East, killing Jews. Now, is that in a vacuum? Or is there a book from the 7th century that tells them to do that? You go figure it out. So basically, what the press, this is not a description from the administration. This is speculation, but I think it's pretty solid speculation. If we're going to get rid of this, and they're not going to cooperate, we're going to have to, for a short period of time, put boots on the ground. And when we do it, we don't want to lose anybody. So the whole plan here, and this part of this plan has been there for quite some time, is to surround them. The special forces would be in the middle of the circle, and they'd be taking out the uranium in the ground, which I think we have located down to the last part of it. The Army squadron would be the ones who went into the ground. The other special forces would help them, assist them, also protect them. Then the regular army would build a sort of wall around them, and the air would be completely protected. Probably that's the easiest thing for us to do, because think about it. We've done about 800 or 900 missions in the last 3 weeks over Iran, and not a single plane has been shot down. The people that we lost, with four people that we lost on a base in Jordan, and trying to neutralize a bomb in Iraq. But none of the pilots who flew missions over Iran were shot down. I don't think a single missile or drone was shot down. They simply do not have a defense, aerial defense. They are a wide open target. We can just bomb them and, until the cows go home. And the other specific target beyond the plutonium is Pickaxe Mountain, which has become a big issue because there is a great deal of intelligence. I don't know if it's ours or it's Mossad or both. I tend to think it's both. That shows that over the last 4 months, since we took out all of their nuclear capacity, or as much as we could, they have been hiding centrifuges in Pickaxe Mountain, and they're gigantic. They're the kind of centrifuges you use when you're trying to create atomic and hydrogen bombs. And we have pictures of that from the sky. And of course, Iran is lying about it, says that's not true. So I think one of the purposes of this mission was to take out Pickaxe Mountain. There is a question whether we can get down that far. They think that Iran, having had so much destroyed very deep into the ground, has now had the capacity to go even lower. So the fallback position is to blow them up as deep into the ground as possible, and then use the special forces to get below that, because we're going to get those damn centrifuges out of there no matter what. So I don't know how you negotiate that. I just don't know. I don't understand how you're going to get the Iranians to switch around on a dime and say, okay, yeah, come take all our uranium, take all of our centrifuges. If you make a deal and depend on them to do it, they'll lie to you. So I don't know what the president knows, but from what I know, it seems to me we should get this over with, which means we got to pull the trigger. The military action in Iran has stopped for 2 days, 3 days now, meaning the U.S. and Iran has not attacked each other in 2 or 3 days. That was after 14 days of relentless attack by us and response by them that cost the lives of 4 of our military. But remember, none of it happened over the skies of Iran, which is undefended. The exception today was that we did attack an Iranian tanker that was attempting to run our blockade. And well, the press puts it as we interrupted it. We bombed it. We blew up its engine. So I don't know. It seems to me like there was one military action today. We blew up the engine of an Iranian tanker. So it didn't get through delivering oil. They put it very nicely. CENTCOM said the ship is no longer transmitting to Iran. It became disabled. And finally they asked him, how did it become disabled? He said, we blew up the engine. We blew up the engine. He was trying to act like, they just told it to go back, and it did. But no, they blew up the engine. And let's see, there was another thing that he said this. Oh, and we also boarded it and took everybody off the tanker. I think we probably took the oil. I think there's a picture of it that you're seeing now. I think Ted has a picture of it there. That was a pretty good attack. Ted, is that a picture of the attack on the Iranian tanker?
That's footage of the attack. U.S. forces fired a Hellfire air-to-surface missile into the engine room.
Yeah, that's it.
This happened in the Gulf of Oman as it tried to run the blockade.
So we had a ceasefire except for that today. So we didn't really have a complete ceasefire, right?
Well, that's right, Mayor. And now we're just getting reports that Iran is striking targets in northern Iraq. So we're going to try to get some video. This happening in the last hour.
Well, that's where the 4th soldier was killed, right?
Right.
He was killed in northern. 3 were killed in Jordan, and 1 was killed in northern Iraq. And he was trying to neutralize a bomb that had been lobbed in but didn't go off. And then, of course, it went off while he was trying to neutralize it and kill them. So I'll tell you why I think they're doing that. The one group, the Houthis have been trying to help them, but very reluctantly. So Iran is used to having proxies. So they don't really have their usual proxies, right? Hamas is hiding in a little area, whatever is left of Hamas, is hiding in a little area of Israel where the Israelis have them pinned in. And the question is to disarm them. And they won't give up their arms. And you know that the Israelis are just waiting to kill them all, right? Because as long as Hamas is dedicated to destroying Israel and the Jews, the only thing they can figure out to be safe is to get rid of them. Which is correct. If it were me, and these people were saying, I'm going to come into your house, Giuliani, and kill your kids, I would make sure I got them killed first. Right? Wouldn't you? Certainly a president of a country has to do that. But in any event, Hamas can't do them any good. They're just pinned down in an area, segregated area of Gaza. Hezbollah is fighting for its life. And the government of Lebanon has turned on them. Thank God. The Houthis, they've been trying for 3 months to get involved, and they have refused to get involved because the last time they got involved, they almost disappeared. And we made a deal with them, and they stayed out of it for over a year. Now, decided they would help, but it's very limited. They've attacked 2 tankers, and they said they've got a blockade of the Red Sea, but it only pertains to Saudi Arabia, not America, not the Emirates, just Saudi Arabia. And they're pretending, the Houthis are, that it's a rekindling of their 3 or 4 year war with Saudi Arabia. Largely because they don't want to get involved in this. I mean, they're trying to help their old terrorist murdering buddies like them, but they don't want to get involved. I think we have to get them uninvolved by making them pay very, 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 very badly. And I think they would back off if we did. So let's see what happens and how long all of this lasts. But I don't think it's going to last. I don't think it's going to last very long. So now why don't we take a short break, and we will be right back afterwards to talk about this headline here. See that? Commies are coming for the kids. I'll tell you about that. Tunnels to Towers Foundation honors America's greatest heroes. Heroes like the dedicated public servant Josh Bischoff. Josh began his firefighting career as a volunteer and quickly rose through the ranks to become CAL FIRE's Assistant Chief of Tactical Air Operations. Josh was driven by a deep sense of purpose and a passion for serving others. His leadership earned him great respect across the entire state of California and beyond that, until tragedy struck. And 2 helicopters collided while fighting a California wildfire. Josh was killed in the crash. He left behind his wonderful wife, Cheryl, and their 2 children, Derek and Juliana. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation paid the Bischoff family's mortgage immediately, lifting a financial burden and enabling Josh's family to focus on healing after unimaginable loss. Josh's family is committed to honoring his memory by living with the same drive, the same joy, the same patriotism, and the same purpose that he did. Honor and help heroes like Josh and their families who've sacrificed everything. Donate $11 a month.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
And now we're going to bring you back to America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani. I feel like the baseball announcers when the next batter's coming up. Now batting, America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
But you got to give me a number and a position. If you want
Well,
me to
we
be a
know your
baseball
favorite
announcer,
number
you have to
is
say,
3. You wouldn't take 3, right? Because that's
and I need a song. They all have a song. No,
What number would you be?
My favorite baseball number is 8.
Oh, is it 8? I thought it was 3. He's okay.
That's Babe Ruth.
He was 8.
8.
Okay. Yogi
Who's
Berra.
that?
Yogi
Who?
Berra.
Yeah.
Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra's number. The great catcher for the Yankees and my hero. So the Ukraine is, we're concentrating on Iran a lot, but there's a great deal going on in the Ukraine both ways. So let's sort of take a look at sort of merges together the weekend into today. There were 264 clashes there today, 264 separate ones. So the Russians had 2 strikes. They lobbed 9 missiles into Ukraine. Two of them struck. As far as aerial bombs, they had 96 out of 317. They used 8,800 kamikaze drones. So they were pretty darn active. And there were casualties. We don't know exactly how many yet on the Ukrainian side. And they're making really no pretense at all. The Russians are hitting purely civilian targets. Unlike what we were doing in Iran, where we were hitting military targets and even to the extent that we did some bridges, we were using bridges that transport military equipment. The Russians aren't even pretending. They're going right at civilian targets, just whatever they can hit. The whole idea here is they can't beat them on the battlefield. They've been trying to do that for almost 5 years, and they've ended up, after they got their first 20%, they've gone back and forth with Ukraine. And over the last 4 months, they've lost thousands and thousands of soldiers, and they haven't gained an inch. So I don't know what they're doing, but the Ukrainians hit back into 17 different areas of Russia. So they are now covering Russia about 600 to 700 to 800 miles in. They did those attacks in the Asian part of Russia, or right near there. But right now, they're concentrating on between St. Petersburg and Moscow, back and forth, trying to. I mean, I guess it's very simple to describe. They're trying to convince the Russian people to tell Putin to stop this thing, that it's not getting anywhere. And for the first time now in the last 2 months, the Russian people realize they're in a war, and they're not happy about it. Now, what they can do with Putin, we don't know. This is going to test exactly how much of a dictator is he, and how much control does he have over the minds and hearts of people that don't want to fight this war anymore. He's run out of soldiers. I don't think the North Koreans are going to give him anybody else to die. He killed about 10,000 of those, just putting them on the front lines. And the North Koreans didn't know who the hell they were shooting at. They couldn't tell the difference between the Ukrainians and the Russians. And of course, if you know anything about North Korea, these people have grown up as, it's not their fault, but semi-idiots, because they have one television station. I don't even think they know there's a United States. So what do you think they're going to do on a battlefield? They were shooting each other. And they put in about 10,000. I don't know if anybody's left. Plus, he's taking people out of prison, Putin is, to fight the war because he doesn't want to create a draft. If he creates a draft, he's going to have the country rise up against him. So let's hope this is such a horrible waste of human life. I mean, you can have whatever opinions you want of Zelensky, and mine is not the greatest, as you know. But there's a difference between Zelensky and Putin. There's a difference between almost all of you and Putin. You just don't kill the way he does. He doesn't have any regard for human life. And he showed that by his invasion of Ukraine and what he's doing. So, since February of 2022, the Russians, according to outside estimates, listen to this, have lost 1,440,580 Russians and North Koreans and whatever other poor Slavs they got to fight for them. I would say in terms of soldiers, Ukrainians probably lost about 300,000. It's like 8 to 1. So, but now the bad news is there's no sign that the Russians are slowing down. Absolutely no sign that they're slowing down. Ukraine hit Rostov, Yaroslav, Rostov-on-Don. All of them are energy facilities, which means I don't know how much energy is available for that area between St. Petersburg and Moscow, but not much. So this is going to have to count on the Russian people. As I told you with the people I met with last week, they said that there's absolutely nobody in Russia that agrees with him. It doesn't matter because he's the only one in Russia that counts. That's what happens when you have a dictatorship. So I would say that one of the things that was very disappointing was that when we got here, did you get this here? Yeah, look at this. Oh, look at this Sienna. See that? See what that says? There's a bunch of kids giving this out. Lata Comunista. You can read all the crap. It's a bunch of crap. Now, when they do it as an American version, they don't put communist up there. But it's going to tell you something you have to understand about this whole one world, internationalism and whatever. Internationalism, that's the name for the communist paper. Because this whole idea, like Klaus Schwab and others, one world, that's a communist idea. It's a communist concept because it destroys nationalistic governments. They're gone. America is gone. England is gone. Italy is gone. This is the reason why they convince our young people to burn statues, burn flags, change our history, make all of our heroes horrible people, because they want us to give up our culture, our religion, and our civilization, because they want us to be guided by an irrational principle, a horrible, evil, irrational principle called communism. And they know it's against human nature. So they have got to brainwash you in order to make it operate correctly. So when you hear people saying we need to have a new international order, which is Obama says, right? I want you to notice this, the same paper, internationalism, the same thing as communism. But this is going on all over Europe. But worse than that, it's going on in the United States. DSA, which now has several high-ranking American officials, including the mayor of New York, and 2 or 3 people in Congress, and about 9 others who have just won primaries running for Congress. DSA has a new idea introduced by some woman named Maureen Fatima. She's a Democrat socialist, and she believes that it's really terrible and unfair that we don't teach our young people about Karl Marx and Frederick Engels enough in public schools. And we should be doing it from the time that they're very young. So she's put together a curriculum to do that. And they are now going to leverage their ties with Mondami in order to bring that about. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that happens. So that's one thing that tells you that when the president said we're in this war with socialists and communists, he's not making it up. This is really going on. And you got to be ready for it. You got to be ready to combat it. DSA put out its paper for this year. And you know, one of its goals, to end the United States Senate. We shouldn't have a United States Senate or a Supreme Court. We should have just one big legislature with hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000 legislators. Purpose of that is you can diffuse the major parties that way with hundreds of smaller parties that they can control. There'll be no Supreme Court. There'll be no president. It'll be completely confusing. Our separation of powers will be gone. Our checks and balances will be gone. And you know our Bill of Rights will be gone. This is what the group that is now supporting, 8 or 10 candidates for Congress, several mayors, including one elected in New York, one elected, I think, in Seattle. This is what they want to do. What they really want to do is end our republic. Third thing, they claim a victory because the city school system uses a pass-fail system. No grades, pass-fail. Except everybody passes. So it's what I know from way back with my good friend Herman Badillo, who wrote a book about this, social promotion. It means you get promoted no matter what. I don't want to make you feel bad. So you're in the 3rd grade. You can't even read or do arithmetic at 3rd grade level. And they move you on to the 4th grade. Now you're in the 4th grade, and you can't do it at 4th grade level. You're back at 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. And by the time we get to high school, you're way behind. And so are more than 50% of the kids in New York City. Because, let's look at these statistics. Well, first of all, fewer than half of the students in New York City public schools pass standardized tests in reading or math. And they are spending 3 times more money on them than when I was made. We can do it. We can do a chart showing as the money went up, performance goes down. Because that money is being given to administrators who are dreaming up programs like the one I just mentioned by this, whatever the hell her name was. This person who obviously doesn't like children. So we now have 300,000 less children in New York City public schools, and they're getting 3 times more money, and they're completely failing. So maybe they want to do what Minnesota is doing. Minnesota is doing a new program. It's a first of its kind. Transgender dolls are going to be introduced. And they're going to begin with a preschool. And they are going to educate young people that it's quite normal to be confused about your sex and want to change it. Let me show you what the transgender dolls look like. They're going to give these out to kids in Tampon Tim's state. If they're not doing it already, let me just see. Well, this was approved a year ago. These are called trans dolls. There they are. See them? These kids can't read. They can't write. They don't know history. So they're going to be shown that this is really, it's good to be like this. And if you're a boy but you really think you want to be a girl, we can fix you. This is sick. This is sick. Now, you know what the laws are in Minnesota, don't you? So if you're over the age of 14 and you want to be mutilated, and your parents don't want you to, you don't have to tell your parents. In fact, you can come from nice, sweet, innocent South Carolina, and you can travel to Minnesota, and you can walk into one of Tampon Tim's clinics, and you can say, I don't like being a boy anymore. I want to have it removed. And they'll say, well, what do your parents have to say? My parents are very prejudiced. And my parents are right-wing lunatics, and they won't let me do it. They don't have to, according to the law of Minnesota. They don't have to notify your parent. They can just mutilate you based on the authority of the state. Sound like communism to you? So that's what I mean. The communism is coming for your kids in ways that you just don't realize how serious this is. The dolls began as a University of Minnesota research project. And they're called My Gender Dolls. And it's to make these young people more comfortable with changing their sex. You just got to be alert to this. You really do. And it isn't that every one of the Democrats supports this. A lot do, but nobody's against it, except for John Fetterman. Everybody's too afraid to be against this and just basically say, this is sick. This is absolutely sick. Well, let's take a short break, and then we will have a few concluding remarks. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Yeah, that's why she's not answering.
Ted? I think
Mayor, can you hear me?
Well, we're going to try, but I think I would rather use the other camera.
Okay.
All right. So that's why I took a break and I tried to reach you. I want to link up on the other camera. Okay.
Okay. So we'll take another short break
And this
for a
way we can conclude properly.
quick
You want to go to
gear change. So
Stephen?
He's on here. He's not here yet.
okay, we'll have you
Why don't
switch.
you
I'll
go
talk to
to
Steven.
Why don't you talk to Stephen and I will be back in 3 minutes. Okay.
You got it. All
All
right.
right.
So bear with us here. Some on the fly quick changes. We're going to bring our good friend of the show. We have Steven Schumacher with us. Steven, you were with the president today in Milford, Michigan, which is about 45 minutes outside of Detroit?
Yeah, around depending on traffic, yes. And it's actually quite incredible to be back in my own backyard. It almost felt like being on the campaign trail again. Unfortunately, it did rain right afterwards, so we all kind of like dispersed, or else I would have came to you live from there. But I am proving to you that I am in Michigan. This is pretty Michigan, right? If you know,
That's right. Well,
hard to mistake.
as Mitt Romney once
It was exciting though.
Well, as Mitt Romney famously once said, right, in Michigan, where the trees are the exact right height. So you are proving to us that that is in fact the case. But of course, for our national audience and international audience, Stephen, the big Senate race, right, in Michigan, everyone's kind of calculating these different states, who's up, who's down. Can Democrats take back the Senate? You know, they need to pick up some seats. So they're watching the Senate race closely. Do you think that that was part of the reason the president was in Michigan today?
Well, perhaps, I mean, among other things, right? There's a lot on the line coming up in 26, but the Senate race, absolutely. And Mike Rogers knocked the socks off of everyone today. He actually made some of the most compelling content of the day, if you will, at such an incredible venue, right? We were at the GM Proving Grounds, Michigan Manufacturing Center, something that both Rogers and President Trump have been touting and really promoting throughout their entire campaigns and presidency. So Rogers was a big feature of today's event. Actually, the Rogers people, you could tell, were all over the place, and his fabulous wife Christy was there, and you can tell actually that she actually kind of has a lot to do with a little bit of the production. And it was funny to see because like people would wink at her like, oh yeah, that was your line, you know, that was your line. So it was a lot to do with Rogers. Oh, and actually you might see me in a couple of Rogers pieces coming up because there were some interns running around getting a "Why are you voting for Mike Rogers" statements from people throughout the crowd. And so that was fun to just see them. And actually some of the interns came up to us. I was with, you know, the chairman of the Republican Party among like other like bigwigs, and like these interns didn't really know who they were. And they're like, "Why are you voting for Mike Rogers?" Right.
Right.
So it was a good time, and the event couldn't have went better. Honestly, it couldn't have been more symbolic of Michigan manufacturing, American manufacturing, and I'm just jealous that I didn't get on the track with them. My understanding is that they spent some time on the track ahead of the event, touring some of the vehicles.
Right. Well, let's bring the mayor back into the conversation. You know, a lot of folks don't know this, but the mayor spent a lot of time in Dearborn, Michigan. Of course, we all know Dearborn today, but many folks don't know it's also the home of the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah, I represented them for several years, and I spent a good deal of time in that what was then a beautiful new hotel. Right.
They might either tore it down or they're thinking
and
of
it was
it.
not Dearborn was a quintessential American middle class to upper middle class suburb. Now it's
built on our manufacturing.
Now it's governed by Sharia law, right?
That's what some would say. And actually, you do get the best Middle Eastern food outside of the Middle East. Well, actually, perhaps even inside the Middle East in Dearborn. So you definitely taste it and you see it, right? And that's actually, there is Arabic written everywhere. So,
but what? So
have with that what you will.
Was the president there in Dearborn?
We were in Milford, a different place. We were at the GM Proving Grounds today, where GM tests their vehicles ahead of like deployment and launch. And actually, The whole purpose of it was to highlight America's manufacturing and our resurgence in manufacturing and our industrial base. And it was fantastic. Oh my gosh, there couldn't have been better imagery. Big machines, Corvettes, Escalades everywhere. And then Trump told the story his father bought a new Cadillac every 2 years. That was his luxury. Oh, and he definitely brought up transgender for everybody. We don't like that. The crowd booed for that. And it was like
I don't
being
know
on
if
the
you saw the
campaign trail
little.
again.
I don't know if you saw the little transgender dolls they're giving out in Minnesota in order to
Exactly.
brainwash the kids at an early age. That's really
Oh
sick.
yeah.
Absolutely. But in
And
any
yeah, and the
event, how
people
does
don't want
Rogers
that.
look? Who is the Democratic candidate going to be? Is it going to be Imam Syed?
Abdul El Sayed, that's what I'm assuming, but it actually has become a little bit more of a toss up recently. Stevens actually is coming in really high with money, and she has that Michigan side of her, and she actually has a lot of relationships in Michigan. But the Democrat Party is a different party nowadays, right? And actually, one of their almost, I don't know, litmus test is basically like, do you support Israel or not? And I think Syed is going to like take that entire contingent,
No,
obviously. And
Syed wants to see them driven into the sea. What about Stevens? What is her? What is she? Just a weakling about it, or
well, she's more seen as like the establishment candidate, right? And classic Democrat, I guess Democrat classic. But here's the thing, she kind of has a little crazy side to her as well, not necessarily like on like the same regard as El Sayed, but like she's gone a little nuts, especially during COVID. And one of her most famous like speeches that everyone turns to is her flailing on the house floor like this with her gloves on and making a complete fool of herself. And her ads don't help her. And it's like, why are you post? It's like, don't post that.
do they
She
have? Are they? Do they have polls?
she needs a little bit better comms, I would
Is it
say.
a two-candidate race, Stephen?
Now it is having Mallory McMorrow, our, you know, token carpetbagger Senate candidate, dropped out. And so, yeah, two-person race. El Sayed's got the momentum, and those were the betting odds have El Sayed as well right now. But in interesting news, it was heavily assumed that it would be El Sayed for a while, but actually that gap has closed a little bit in the recent days. So I don't know what's happening, or if Stevens is benefiting from like a different bump, perhaps like people who vote at different times. Maybe polls are a little off, or maybe based on like macro factors that have evolved. So who
When is
knows?
the
But
primary?
it's tightening. We'll see. That's the one to watch.
When?
Pardon?
When is it? When is the primary?
August 4th is our primary. Our primary is August
Whoa.
4th. And by golly, I actually asked a number of the Rogers people who they'd rather run against. And, everyone kind of said, oh, El Sayed, right? He's radical. But then it's like, God forbid if we don't take the thing, right? We have another one of those in the Senate, right? So,
Well,
so it's actually,
I'll
it,
make a give you a simplistic analysis. It would be better for us, Rogers, and the Republican Party. Better chance of winning if we run against Syed. But it would be better for the country if he doesn't get anywhere near. So that we have another guy taking the oath of office on the Quran. We may end
that
up
was
having a
almost,
majority taking the oath of office on the Quran, and the whole country will change.
and everyone at these events, right, has to be portrayed like high confidence, right? Like we're going to win this thing, but it's like, God forbid, right? And that I did sense a little bit of that because that actually is one of the questions that I asked people. I was like, well, like, who do you want to run? Like, who do you think's going to win the Democrat? And then I would kind of give that little, oh yeah, I hope it's Syed because we'll be, and it's like, well, God forbid. But that's why that
No, no,
is what's on the
I
line in
think
26.
she may be all the things that a weakling Democrat is, but she isn't anywhere near as bad as he is, or what
Yeah,
he stands for.
and people rag on her
I mean,
Michigan accent. I love it.
they're really trying to take over.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why that's what's on the line in 26, and that's why it's like Michigan's going to be one of the big battlegrounds, not just in the Senate, but in a number of our House seats. Like Tom Barrett was there. We're defending Michigan 7th, right? That's a tight race, tight race. And so the president came and he actually is supporting, and we're going to, be like really promoting that one. The 8th district, another one that we can actually pick up. And then the 10th, obviously, with John James running for governor, we have a chance in the 10th. Well, we have to hold on to it, actually. And Mike Bouchard was there.
How was John doing?
He's going to win. He also has a primary. He's very much expected to win the primary and then go against Jocelyn Benson, our current Secretary of State, who I believe at this time has made like in the tens of millions of dollars off of corrupt data center deals, like, and among other serious flaws.
I remember her from 2020. Boy, wow.
Oh, her sins go. Oh my gosh, yes. And then look at this. So she's our current Secretary of State, and she's overseeing her election for governor. So, appearance of impropriety, check. Right?
You could be talking about any number of Democrat states. So it doesn't really,
Yep.
it's just the way it is.
Exactly.
So, well, thank you very much.
It's good to see you. Oh, I hope you're.
Come and see us.
I hope you're having fun in Italy. Oh my gosh, prayers are with you. Travel safe.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the home that I'm in the city my grandmother was born in.
Oh, fantastic.
Florence.
Fantastic. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Well, you all know Stephen. He's a very, very sharp guy. He really understands politics. He's been involved in so many political races. And it's interesting. It always comes down to the same 6 or 7 states, doesn't it? Because some of them are pretty much decided anyway, like New York or California or Florida or Mississippi. But you get to these states that go back and forth. Those are the ones that make the difference. And Michigan is right in the center of it, about 4 or 5 others. And, normally you would say if you're a Republican, you want the weakest Democrat to run against. And if you're a Democrat, you want the weakest Republican to run against. But you got to step beyond that and think for your country. And in the case of Syed, whether he's the weakest Democrat or not, and I'm not sure of that, but that's the popular opinion. He was terrible for the country. He wants to destroy your country. And, maybe I'm a little bit emotional having lived through September 11th. But anybody who says the things that he says about September 11th shouldn't be within, 5,000 miles of the United States Senate, much less running for it. This is not an American to say those things. He's like the Arab princeling I gave the money back to. I had a guy like that spotted 25 years ago. So I hope the people of Michigan have him spotted. The people of New York sure did with Manami. Look what they got. So let's make sure in Michigan that you guys, stay awake and don't let this character win. So we're going to ask you, now that we're just about concluded, we ask you at 8 o'clock tonight, we want you to go on Lindell TV and watch the Dr. Maria show. It's going to be great. She'll be going into some of the things that we haven't covered, I'm sure, and do it even better. And tomorrow night when we come back, we're going to spend maybe 15, 20 minutes giving you a little tour of Italy and why you should come here and learn about your Western roots, because it's that civilization they're trying to take from you. They're trying to convince you that there's something inferior about Western civilization. And here's the truth. Western civilization is not perfect. Western civilization has done a lot of bad things, evil things, horrible things. But when you compare it to everybody else, it's the best ever. It's the reason why the world has things like concern about humanity. There's no civilization that cares about human beings, human life, human thinking, the human soul, more than Western civilization, whether we're talking about the God of the Old Testament or the Greeks and their philosophy, or the Romans, or like we can go on and on, the Renaissance, the Roman Catholic Church, the Protestant Reformation. They may all be disagreeing in many ways with each other, but they're all trying to find how to elevate the human being. And in many cases, they're trying to find their way to God. So who can say that? None. So we'll be back tomorrow night. I want you to pray for the people of Israel. They are under tremendous, tremendous pressure. And to pray for the people of Ukraine. The Russians are desperate now. For the first time, the war has kind of turned against them. And Putin is an evil man. And he's going to try to kill as many civilians as possible in order to discourage them from the war. And I want you to pray very, very sincerely and deeply for the people of Iran, because they've been subjected to horrors under the Shah and the two Ayatollahs. Pray for us, the American people, and for our president. Give him the strength and the wisdom that he's going to need. He sure has it, but he needs your help. So we'll see you tomorrow here from Italy. We'll be back real soon, but we have a few more things to do, which we're going to tell you about. And remember, what do we always say at the end of the show? God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze.